Hi, welcome to Overton On Air podcast. I'm your host, Kate, and today's episode is for you if you are feeling a little disappointed, maybe let down, maybe you're feeling defeated, guilty, blaming yourself because this year did not turn out the way that you expected it. Maybe you had plans at the beginning of the year that aren't fulfilled, or maybe things changed, or maybe you got your heart broken, maybe you lost a loved one, maybe life just happened, maybe you lost a job, etc. So today's episode is going to be titled How to Forgive a Year That You Didn't Plan. And if you find that being yourself, then I want you to sit down and listen, or maybe while you're cleaning your house, driving your car, running errands, or just chilling in bed. I think that you need to listen up because I think that we all struggle with this and it's something that's not talked about enough. Um, and I want to get into all the self blame, how to reframe our minds and our disappointments, the pressure of New Year's expectations, and why we even feel pressure to begin with to just make sudden and drastic changes. Um, and I want to talk about it because it needs to be normalized, and I think that you deserve to be seen and heard and understood. I don't have a guest with me today because I think that this is real personal. I feel like it's something that I just want to pour into y'all, and I don't think that there's a need for a guest for this topic. Okay, all right. So let's get into it. Um, Cause I'm gonna start with me, honey. Okay, January me was real delusional, real delusional, but in a cute way. Like when January come, girl, like you ready for the gym, you bought your new gym clothes, you starting this new business endeavor, and you have all this motivation, all this planning done. You know, you just have all these plans for the whole new year. You have this budget calendar you gonna follow. You have this meal prep that you didn't buy, or maybe you meal prep it yourself. You have this workout guide you gonna follow. This 75 hard, this 50 hard, 30 hard, 75 soft, whatever. And you starting your year like that. And maybe it's December and you didn't finish, or maybe you did and then you fell off right after, or maybe you still eating whatever food you want and you didn't stick to it, or maybe you didn't save as much money as you wanted, and that's okay. I want to normalize that is okay. Because in the beginning of January, y'all, I had so many plans. I was like, this podcast gonna take over the world. Girl, I haven't even been consistent like I'm supposed to. Um, the gym, I was in the gym so heavy at the beginning of the year, and then life happened and I fell off, and then I got back into it, and then I fell off again. And I think that sometimes we need to just ride the wave with life, and we don't have to be so hard on ourselves, because I may have not become that girl in 2025, but I became me. And I've learned so much about myself, my strengths, my weaknesses, and what works for me and my lifestyle. Um, sometimes some people are blessed with being able to get off at 5 p.m. and they can fit the gym in, and they can fit in some social time, and then they can make time for this or that, and then be in bed and do it all over again. But maybe you don't have a routine, or maybe you don't even have a job right now, or maybe you go to work at night and so you sleep a lot during the day because you're so exhausted. And I think that that's okay. But we need to get out of our own heads and step into real life and feel some grass, okay? That's what we need to do. Um, because truth is, we try to create this version of ourselves that looks good online, but it's not your real life, or it doesn't really make sense for you in your real life, and that's okay. But social media is just been a big factor in it, and I know that to be true. And I think social media is beautiful because it is a place where you can find some motivation and you can seek out new crafts and discover new things and learn a lot and express yourself a ton. But I also think that it imposes these images that we portray. And we talked about this way back in the first episode. But social media brings about this image for people, and you start comparing yourselves to, oh, well, look what they're doing, and I haven't accomplished that much, or I haven't done that much, or they in the gym, or their body looks good, whatever. And then you're hard on yourself because that's not where you are. And that's when we need to learn how to set boundaries with ourselves and social media. But we won't make this all about social media. But I just want to like encourage you guys that it's not about becoming that girl or, that guy. It's that shouldn't be the goal. It should be you becoming the best version of yourself that feels sustainable in your life based off of your responsibilities. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a college student, your life is not going to look like somebody who's establishing their career. Or if you're single, your life may not look like somebody's that is establishing a relationship. Or if you have kids and you have other responsibilities and businesses, then you may not have the same time, or your schedule is going to be different. So we can't sit here and compare ourselves to everyone else and beat ourselves up because of, you know, what we didn't do or what we're not doing. But let's get into the pressure of New Year expectations, and why do we even feel like we have to fix everything or do so much in just 12 months? Why? Why? Because time is an illusion, and we as humans have created time to be very like the biggest deal. And don't get me wrong, time is definitely important and it is of the essence. However, we shouldn't feel like we have to create like our best highest selves in just 12 months. Y'all know how much time flies by and also how much life changes in 12 months. Why do we feel like in 12 months we have to be 50 pounds down, or in 12 months we have to have met our husband or our wives in 12 months? Or why do we feel like we have to be at the prime of our career in 12 months? Why do we have to be in a six-figure job in just 12 months? Like, if you're able to accomplish that in 12 months, then great. But it's the pressure that no one really talks about. It's like, I think that there's so much beauty in setting goals, and I think that we should put forth effort in a plan to achieve those goals. However, why do we feel so pressured to have accomplished everything that we ever wanted in 1 year? Why? It's not realistic. And we need to normalize that if those things are not accomplished, that it's not a failure. It's life matching you in your timeline. And that's the reality of it. Because guess what? Maybe in January you had plans to, start your podcast, and you had plans to do an episode every month. And I do think that it's important for you to be consistent, and you do have to put forth effort. By no means am I saying that we're going to take the lazy route and just chill and act like we don't have to put effort. And if things don't happen, then we should just sit back. Like, no, we need to put forth effort. However, what I'm saying is, what if in 3 months you lose your job and you don't have the means, or you don't have a car anymore, you don't have the means to get there? Or what if you lose your loved one and you just need some time off? Then you have to learn to give yourself grace for the times that you didn't maybe show up for yourself, because you may not always have that strength. And we have to just be okay with realizing that life is difficult right now, probably more than it was a few years ago. The economy is crazy. Gas prices are insane. Like, everything is so expensive. Making $80,000 a year is not good money like that no more, because you still living paycheck to paycheck, because rent prices and mortgage prices are so high. It's a struggle. And we have to acknowledge that just waking up every day and being there and being present in life and doing one thing for ourselves is good enough. And we don't have to feel like our world is ending if we didn't meet this specific deadline for something. Because truth is that, again, time is an illusion. So yes, time is also important, but it's also very much an illusion as well. And we create time. Like, January through December was created by man, right? And so we feel like, since the year is going to start again and we're going to go back to the month of January, that we feel like we have to be a completely new creature with a 360 of habits. And that's not always realistic. If it's a change that you can make and it's realistic and it's sustainable, then go for it and do it. But give yourself grace throughout the process. You know what I mean? So I just want us to get out of the pressure of the new year, and also like waiting on January to start something too. Like, Not only do we need to get out of the mindset that like we have to have this brand new mindset in life by the new year or for the next year completely 360, but we also need to get out of the mindset that when January comes we can start, because that's not realistic. You don't have to wait either until the new year to start something. You don't have to say like, okay, I want a podcast and I'm gonna go ahead and launch that in 2027 because that'll be the perfect time to do it in the new year. Because we've created this big stigma about January, 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 in the new year, in the new year, in the new year. Again, while there are goals I do think should be set for your years, I don't think that we should have to always wait to start something. If it's March and you know you want to start that business, then why are we waiting until January? If it's not taking you, it doesn't have to take you until January to plan for the business or to seek out or to start a new endeavor. That's just not realistic. And I think that we should stop feeling like we have to wait to start. If you wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, I want to start Pilates, then guess what? Start tomorrow. You don't have to wait another 2 weeks because we're giving ourselves excuses. You don't have to wait. Start now. Start now. Next, I want to move on to like reframing our disappointments and how disappointments often mask redirection. So we start blaming ourselves, and when we blame ourselves, that shows up as us just kind of giving up, like feeling defeated and saying like it's my fault that I didn't do this well in the gym, or I didn't lose this weight. So it's my fault and I'm just not going to start because it's too late now. And we always feel like it's too late for something. And I don't like the mindset that we have developed as humans, that we feel as if it's too late to start. It's always too late, too late, too late. No, it's not. You're right on time. You're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, so however old you are, 40s, 50s, you're young. You can start now. You don't have to wait ever for nothing. And we start blaming ourselves and feeling as if, since I messed up this bad, that like I'm not worthy of starting again, or since I planned all this out and it didn't happen, then I just should give up being a businesswoman period, or a businessman period, or I should give up this hobby because I didn't stick with it, or whatever the case may be. But let's not do that. We don't need to just give up totally because something didn't work out the way that we intended for it to. Because personally, my life has never, ever went as planned. I am type A. I plan, I plan, I plan. And when I tell y'all that my plans never work out the way that I want them to, it's like God just sit there on the edge and look down at me and just be like, look at her, just trying to figure it out all by herself, and watch. I'm just not going to let it work. I'm not going to let it work. Or it's not what I want for her. I have better for her. I have much better for her, and I'm going to watch her be silly. And I feel like God has literally watched me be silly in his eyes in every aspect of my life, bro. Every, when it came to, from like little, being a younger girl till now, like he has literally, I'm telling you, I know God be laughing at me. I just know he do. I'm talking about from the college I went to, didn't go as planned and ended up being the best thing that ever happened for me. I made some of my most meaningful friends and relationships, and I ended up picking up my side hustle of lashing while I was in nursing school, which I would have never done had I not had to move back home for college. If I hadn't had to go through my breakup, I wouldn't be with the person that I'm with that loves me unconditionally. Like, everything has a purpose and God has a plan for you, and it's intended for a specific reason. And we have to stop trying to be in control of everything that we have going on. Like, I feel like when we create our New Year's resolutions and, we go into the new year, it's about us. It's always about us. I. Think about it. When you write down your New Year's resolution, it's I want to have 20,000 saved by the end of the year. I want to have this specific job. I want to have this specific business. I want to pick up this specific hobby. I want to be in this specific relationship. I want me and this person to take the next step in our relationship. And we never take a second to sit back and say, wait, Is that what God wants for me? We need to learn to release our wants all the time. Like, we need to learn to realize that God has a plan far greater than we can even imagine. Far greater. Because it's not always about us. Like, yes, God will give us the desires of our hearts. However, God has a plan. And so what you may think is best, it may not be what God has for you. And we have to sit with that and realize that we need to practice releasing things and letting go of our control over our lives all the time. And I'm speaking from a place of personal experience. I am, again, type A. I want to have control over my life. I want to have control over things I do, the job I work, when I do this and how I do that, and this person and that person. But God has the most control. That we don't have control. And if we try to stay in control of our lives, God won't be able to step in and say, look, no, this is what I have for you, because we gonna be too blindsided to realize what God really has on the back end, because we too busy trying to be in control of our own lives, and we can't release what we want and the control that we have in order to allow God to come in with his blessings and his plans. I am telling y'all, coming from being a very controlling person in my own life, like just being, and when I say controlling, I mean like having to be in control of everything because I don't trust that people will do it right, or because I don't trust that like anybody else would, get the best for me, like I can get the best for me. Having to learn to release that stuff in my life has literally allowed the most blessings I've ever had. Because when I say truly, everything that I ever thought was best for me, and everything that I thought is what I wanted, and everything that I thought was like the best of the bunch, and the best job, the best school, the best this, the best man, the best friends, the best plans, never ended up being the best ever. And every time that I've literally just let God come in and take control, I have literally been blessed with the best. Truly. So we need to learn how to release, because I think when you start learning to release, then you realize that your fear of releasing really comes from and stems from fear of something not working out, or just fear of, other people, or things not going the way that you planned, or not trusting people, etc. And we have to learn to really lean on God in that area of our lives, so that way we can really like hear him and get what he wants for us. Because as long as we try to stay in control, we're not going to ever have the best of the best. Even if you feel like you got it, I promise it's not all the time. Because God has far greater plans. So we need to reframe our disappointments and realize that that's redirection from God, okay? So ask yourself, okay, yes, this job, I lost it. This man, he broke my heart. This friend, she betrayed me. Or I grew apart from this person. I grew apart from that person. This job no longer interests me. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What is my lesson in this? We have to learn to be emotionally aware, y'all. I feel like not enough people are emotionally aware. We let stuff happen and we just real surface level thinkers. You're not really like thinking big. You're not thinking deeper. You're not analyzing your situations and trying to figure out the root and why it happened and what is it teaching you. Because if you don't sit back and look at your lessons, you're going to always feel like the bad things are happening to you. You're going to always feel like nothing good ever happens and everything bad always happening. And guess what that's going to go back to? Self-blame and feeling sorry for yourself. And guess what that's going to keep you stuck? Stuck in that vicious cycle, because your mind is a powerful thing. And then you're going to be in this cycle of just self-blame and guilt and depression when that's not even what God got for you. You not learning his lesson in it. We have to learn. Like, we have to sit back and try to figure out, okay, what is this teaching me? What am I learning here? Okay, yes, I lost my job and I've been without a job for 2 months. And yes, I'm never taking away that's hard in this economy, and financially and mentally and physically. You got to provide for yourself. You got bills to pay, etc. But what is God teaching me in this season? Is he teaching me to depend on him? Is he teaching me to lean on him and realize how I've never gone without a meal despite not having a dollar? Or my lights never been cut off, and if they ever were, they got cut back on, and I'm blessed and I'm waking up every day and I'm healthy. Like, we have to learn to switch our perspectives and realize, okay, what is it teaching me? What is this also? The boy cheated on you, the girl cheated on you, the friend betrayed you. What is this protecting me from? You don't know what God knows on the other end of stuff. What is this protecting me from? The man that's yelling at you to the top of his lungs and on the verge of hitting you, or maybe he is, and maybe something happened, and thank God it did, because what is God trying to protect you from? Because we so naive. Like, you got to understand, when it comes to God, we act like little children because we are his children. We just so rebellious and just naive and like green when it come to God, because like we just literally act like we don't got no sense. And he just looking at us just like your daddy or your mama looked at you when you was a kid messing up and just saying, I told you not to touch the stove. You're going to burn yourself. And you insisting on doing it again. Or you learning a very hard way. Or I told you not to go outside and play or with that. And now, or to be, riding a bike without a helmet or whatever the case may be. And now you feeling you broke your arm and you got to learn the hard way. That's how God look at us. Like his children. Truly. Like that. So we have to ask ourselves, what is this trying to protect me from? The same thing you would want your younger siblings or your children to reflect upon when they make mistakes and they mess up is the same thing you need to be reflecting on for yourself in terms of what God is trying to get you to understand. I hope that makes sense, because I want us to really understand, like, what is this pushing me towards? What is this lesson pushing me towards? And that just ties back into this whole new year thing and forgiving the year that you didn't plan, because sometimes we mess up. And sometimes we make mistakes and we sit there and we soak in it and we stay in that cycle. Or if something didn't go right for us, we get stuck in that cycle and it's instantly a bad year. Oh, I lost my job. It was a horrible year. 2025 was horrible. It wasn't what I wanted. It was the worst year ever. Da 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 da. And we never reflected on, what did I learn? Because maybe if you reflect on how much you learned and what is pushing you towards, what it protected you from, what the lesson is in it, then maybe you wouldn't have such a negative outlook on your year. Maybe you'll be able to change your perspective to something positive and say, yes, I lost maybe this, and that, but I've learned how to be independent. I've learned to really lean on God. Maybe I've gained genuine friendships, or maybe I've gotten closer to my family, or whatever. Reflect on what it is that you've gone through and try to change your perspective about it. And if it didn't go as you planned, then we need to learn to forgive it, which is why we are here in the first place. So yes, we got to dig a little deeper, and I have to go in a little more depth, because I want us to all understand that you have to understand your emotions in order to forgive you, yourself, or anyone else. You have to understand your emotions and understand why something's happening, or what is it teaching. Why is it, if you don't understand why, then what is it teaching you and what is it pushing you towards? Because if you don't understand that, then you cannot fully forgive and move on in peace. And you can't move forward and make better decisions or lean on God for, better stuff. And forgiveness starts with understanding, okay? Not guilt. So that's why I made it a point of saying that we need to try to understand our situations instead of immediately feeling guilty because something didn't go wrong, or projecting guilt on other people because something didn't go right. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Thank you. Okay, moving on. We're going to move on to letting go of self-punishment, because y'all, the emotional weight of feeling behind, complaining, comparing timelines, carrying guilt for things that didn't work out has no peace in it. No peace. If you carrying guilt because you've been procrastinating about whatever it is, your business, going to school, like reading your Bible, you're punishing yourself, and we have to let that go. We have to let it go. We punish ourselves by replaying all these I should have. I should have did this. I should have went to the gym. I should have picked my Bible up. I should have had this. I should have went and did that. And then you start feeling like you so behind with it that you just don't. You lose your motivation to do it in totality. And I know, because I have been there. I felt the same way when I first started my podcast. I was like on this thing of like I got to do it every 2 weeks, but I realized that wasn't realistic for my lifestyle. I film an hour away from where I stay. I have to plan a lot. Editing takes about a week. So I had no downtime on top of a full-time job in which I work multiple days a week, 12-hour shifts a day. And also trying to manage everything else that I have going on in my personal life. And that just wasn't realistic for me. And I was hard on myself about it because I felt like that was what I said, and that's what I thought I wanted and what was going to be best, and it didn't work out, and I blamed myself for it because I felt like it's all my fault. I can't blame nobody else because I'm not being consistent. Can't blame anyone else because I'm having a hard time or because I haven't showed up. And then I'm punishing myself because I'm sitting there being guilty all day, but then just procrastinating continuously after because I feel like I played around that long. I just felt like I shouldn't. I just was like, whatever. I'm not going to get back into it. It's too far, too gone. People forgot about me. People forgot about my podcast. And that's how I started thinking. You know what started happening? I started getting DMs from random people, paragraphs about how they listen to my podcast and it changed their perspective and how they love it and how they depend on it, and they just prayed that God would give them something like that and have an outlet, etc., etc. And I was thinking, little old me, I ain't even recording 2 months, but they was on YouTube watching all my videos, and I had to remind myself that like this is bigger than me. Like filming this podcast is bigger than me. It's about touching you guys. It's about giving y'all the opportunity to be seen and be heard and be understood. You know what I mean? And it's like, if I could just touch one person and give you hope or help you feel seen, then I've done enough. That's what I'm investing into my business for. And so I had to get out of, blaming myself and just punishing myself because I didn't do exactly what I said I was going to do. That's why I'm here. I didn't say, I was like, at first, I'm not going to lie, I was thinking I'm going to start over in January and just start with a fresh start for the new year for the podcast. And I said, why? People need stuff. People need help right now. It's stuff that y'all need to hear right now about this whole year and about everything that we go through. Why am I waiting? Because again, it's not about me. It's bigger than me. It's about the people that are watching. And so I want you to have that same sense of grace for yourself and that same understanding for yourself. And it is hard because we are our biggest critics. We want what's best for us. We hold ourselves to these high expectations, and I think that it's a beautiful thing in a way, but we also need to learn when to give ourselves grace. Again, I'm going to say grace. The word of the day is literally grace. Okay, y'all? Grace. If you don't know what it means, look it up. And if you want to really learn about some grace, read your Bible. I'm telling you, you're going to learn a ton. So we need to get to that point, y'all. And that leads me to self-compassion. It is a true skill, y'all. It's not something that you just say, I'm going to be compassionate and wake up tomorrow and you're compassionate. It's something you have to practice at. A skill is not mastered in one doing. You have to practice it. Journal. Write down everything that you blame yourself for. Write it down and look at it. And then ask yourself, dang, would I sit there and blame my friend for everything that I lacked if she or he had the same situation? No. You would give yourself grace. You would give your friend grace. You would tell your friend, it's okay, life is hard, And you need to give yourself that same love, respect, and grace. We have to learn to accept what we can't control, y'all. Like, that's one of my hardest things, y'all. I'm telling y'all. Because, again, I struggle with control because I want to be in control of my life. I want to be in control of what I do because I know that I can do it myself. That's how I feel. I don't trust nobody else to do it for me. But we have to learn to accept the things we can't control. Sit in emotions, acknowledge it, pray about it, understand it, and let's move forward because it's nothing that can be done. Control issues keep us stuck in resentment. And you'll be either resenting yourself or others because of your control issues. If something didn't work out the one time that you let somebody else in, now you resent them because you like, dang, I knew I should have did it myself. I knew I should have never depended on nobody else. And now you resenting them. Or you going to be resenting yourself whenever things don't work out. And it's like you're the only person that you have to live with forever. Make it peaceful. Create the life that you want. Allow God to come in and bless you and do things and have control in your life. You only get one. And the only person, I'm going to say it again, that you have to live with and be with forever, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter what, is yourself. Make it peaceful and make it worth it. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself. It's more of like it's not like okay, it's okay. But it's more of it happened and I can't change it. So, what did it teach me? What did I learn? And how can we move forward? What can I do better next time? What did it teach me? How can I apply this in other areas of my life? We have to start doing that when things happen throughout our year, okay? We have to start learning to be gracious like that and to create that type of mindset behind every lesson that we learn and everything that happens to us, because that'll help you get through your day and the next and the next and the next and the next situation that happens. It'll help you. Instead of feeling like one thing happened, I spent the whole entire year blaming myself, upset, and mad, and it was a horrible year because one thing went wrong. Because instead of taking your situation and trying to learn and sitting there and asking yourself questions and reflecting on it and praying about it, you just blamed yourself the whole year. And then you lived in misery with a negative mindset. You went into all your other situations expecting the worst, and you spent your whole year like that. And now you feel like this year was horrible. We need to change our perspectives, y'all. When you accept things, that frees up your energy. We have to learn to accept things that we can't control. Again, accepting frees up your energy. You don't have to agree with it. You may not even fully understand it, but we have to accept it and say, you know what? I can't control this. I can't control that I lost my job. I can't control that I made that mistake and I ruined my relationship. Or I can't control that I was inconsistent this year. But what I can do is try to figure out why I did what I did, understand what it taught me, and then I can say, okay, these are the steps that I'm going to take next time. And when I fall short again, I know what to do because I've done it before. You have to learn to give yourself closure. First of all, people will not always be there to pat you on your back and to tell you through things and just be there to give you closure. And also, in literal sense, people won't always offer you closure in life. You have to learn to give yourself closure. So you need to learn to have release moments, and whatever that looks like for you. Like me releasing maybe me going on a walk, but you releasing maybe you going to the nail shop, or you reading a book, you praying, you working out, you spending time with friends, or maybe journaling, writing it down. Have the conversation that you need to have. If you went this whole year and you've known that you need to have some type of conversation with someone, have the conversation. Have it. Give yourself the closure. And if that person isn't willing, then again, go back to your release moments and pray about it. And then you can give yourself closure through that. There's power in naming a chapter before you close it. So if you realize you had a horrible summer and you're like, this was the worst summer of my life, like this did not go as I planned it, but I learned X, Y, and Z, name that. Name that chapter, close it, and walk away and learn from it. Ask yourself, who do you want to be in the next year? Maybe you wasted your whole year not really thinking about you and really reflecting on who you wanted to be, because maybe you got caught up in life. Maybe you got so caught up in the motions, and maybe you just had a few bad things that happened to you and it just threw you off, and you didn't have time to really think about you and who you are and who you really want to be in life because life threw you off. But ask yourself, who do I want to be next year, and what does he or she need from me right now? What does she need? Does she need grace? Does she need patience? Does she need a little more prayer? Does she need to learn? Does she need love? Does she need support? What does she need? And how can I provide that for her or him? Closure is not an event. It is a decision. It's not an event. It's not something that just always happens. Because as we know, you don't always just get closure from people. People don't offer that all the time. And some people don't want it. It's a decision that you make to say, okay, maybe I don't understand why this happened, or every single series and details of every event that led up to this situation. But I will decide to release, name my chapter, and close it and move on from it. I want us to learn that even the messy years, even the hard years, even the worst years, they grow with you. They grow with you. They're permanent. You can't ever redo it, and you can't make it ever go away. It happened, and it grows with you. I want us to learn that you don't have to wait until January to start something new. Or if something happens bad in January, it doesn't ruin your whole year. Change your perspective and say, you know what? It also gives me 11 more months to get it right. Maybe you started something and it didn't work out. Try again. Try again. Or is that chapter supposed to be closed? And if it is, okay, cool, and let's move on. But going in the circle of life and repeating this cycle in our head of self-blame, and this didn't work out, and this happened, and this is just not good for me, and that wasn't good for me. It's not good for you. It's not healthy. I want us to learn that we can do more than just dream and think about the things that we want to do. We can actually do them. You may be laying in your bed thinking like, I can do this. I can be a content creator, or I can be a police officer, an astronaut, a nurse, a doctor, a hairstylist, whatever, y'all, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a career. It can be whatever. I can be a woman or a man of God. You can, but let's stop thinking about it and just dreaming about it and do it. Let's put our plans into practice, into play. Let's make it them an action and no longer just a thought or a dream. I want us to really just realize that we are so far capable of anything that we could ever imagine, of being, of doing, of thinking. If you've been a bad person to people this year, you also deserve grace and you can be better. And I challenge you to be better, be nicer, be kinder. If you've been lazy the whole year, okay, let's wake up a little bit. Let's put forth a little more effort. Maybe you needed the rest, but give yourself grace. Let's stop blaming ourselves for everything. We cannot control that we have not been consistent this year. We cannot control that we are not in our dream job right now. We cannot control that we're 26, 27, 28, 30, 35, 40, and we have not accomplished the things that we thought we would. You cannot go back in time. But what you do have control of is what you wake up and decide to do tomorrow. Let's remember to keep God at the forefront. Let's remember that we can have the biggest and best plans that we could ever think that we could have for ourselves, and it could still not be what God wants for us. Let's grow our relationships with God so we can understand Him. You can't hear God if you don't ever talk to God, and you don't know His voice because you never talk to Him. You won't be able to understand what it is that God really has for you. Or if He's telling you, hey, this is not for you. If you don't have discernment because you don't speak to Him, you don't read about Him, you don't know about Him. You just know that there is a God. You got to get to know Him, y'all. Because He is truly the center of it all. Like, He's going to be the center of everything. He's going to be the person to hold you when you don't got nobody else around you. And I'm speaking to myself too. Like, this is not something that I've just like mastered to every extent of every earth. But like, we really have to be in a place where we can hear Him to understand. And people are not going to always understand you. But why are we so serious in seeking out so much validation and understanding from other people? That's not our job here on earth. Your job is not to be understood by everybody that you come across. Some people may never understand you. But again, you have to be at peace with yourself. Do you understand you? So I'm going to circle back to the title of Forgiving the Year That You Didn't Plan. I want you to sit with it. We are going to forgive the year that we did not plan. Maybe you didn't plan nothing that happened this whole year. Maybe everything that happened was never in your plans. And maybe you need to forgive it because maybe you're holding a little resentment to 2025 because things didn't go the way that you planned. But forgiving the year starts with forgiving yourself. To forgive yourself, you have to understand why and how you're feeling to begin with. And 2026 is about to start. You don't have to wait till January 1st to start. And just because January 1st starts does not mean that you have to create this drastic change either. You don't have to, if you've never been in the gym before, you don't have to say, oh, January 1st started and I'm going to start at 75 hard. Unless there's something you really want to do. And if you want to do it, I challenge you and I'm here for you and I'm rooting for you and you can do it. But I'm basically just trying to get the point across that you don't have to create such a drastic change just because it's January 1st. Because us as humans, we have created that illusion of time. It's just another month. Yes, it's a new year. It's a new month of a new year. And you can start something new. And I do challenge you to have goals for every single year of your life. However, you need to figure out what fits into your life, what's sustainable for you. Stop looking at everybody else's goals and what everybody else got going on and worry about you. Maybe next month, maybe you just lost somebody. Maybe you just went through a really rough time recently. And maybe next month is, maybe you're not going to be in the place in just a couple weeks when January 1st comes to just start a whole new life. Maybe you're not. And that's okay. You don't have to. And why are we feeling the pressure that we have to? I just want you to feel seen and heard. I want you to feel understood. I want you to feel like you have somebody that's in your corner saying, hey, like, you waking up and continuing to live and put a foot forward every day is just simply enough. Maybe your goal next year is not just for you to have a brand new life. Maybe it's just for you to have a little more peace of mind. And maybe you need to put small practices into play to have some peace. And that's good enough for a New Year's goal or your goal for the next year. It's good enough. Maybe you've never worked out a day in your life, and maybe, working out every single day is not realistic for your life, and maybe you can't attain that because you have a lot of responsibilities. Maybe we can start with going on a walk once or twice a week. I just want you guys to show up for yourselves. I want you to just put your best foot forward. And on the days that you cannot show up for yourself, I want you to give yourself grace and lean on God. I want you to release everything that has happened this year that has not pleased you or went according to your plans. I want you to realize that it's never too late and it's never too early to start anything that you want, anything that you dream of and aspire to do or be. And I want you to realize that you can be all that you ever have dreamed of being. Don't ever look at the next person and feel incompetent or incapable of achieving or being. I want you to realize that, again, time is an illusion. Stop beating yourself up because you're 30 and you haven't accomplished this, or you're 30 and you aren't married with kids, or you're 30 or 28 or 40 and you haven't gotten to a certain salary a year. I want you to relax, sit back, and think about what God is trying to show you and forgive this year that you didn't plan. And I also encourage you to forgive other years that you didn't plan, because maybe you still holding on to something that happened in 2023 and that's caused you to never be able to move on fully in these new years. Maybe you lost somebody, or you went through something really hard, or you just went through something so life-changing that it really shook you and you never been able to shake back from it. And I encourage you to go back and dig deep and forgive the times that life didn't treat you so well, and the people. You got to forgive people or you'll never have peace. And if you don't do it for them, then do it for you. If y'all have any other questions on this topic, or y'all have anything that y'all would like for me to address on my Instagram or my TikTok, y'all can definitely leave questions below whenever you go to watch this video on YouTube. I hope that this touched just somebody out there, even if it's just one person, and I hope that you don't feel alone anymore. I really hope that you feel seen and understood and encouraged to forgive this year before you start your new year. And I encourage you to just wake up and smell some fresh air, get outside, and just love on yourself a little more. Give yourself a little grace and accept new things as they come. And I love you all, and I really thank y'all for, again, being patient with me and recognizing my podcast as a safe space and somewhere that you love to come and listen and just sit with me and grow with me and learn with me as I research topics and talk about personal things and get into the nitty-gritty of things. I really hope that you guys have great, happy holidays, and I am so excited and ready for a lot of things that I have to tell you guys in the new year. And I just got a lot going on and a lot planned, and I can't wait to share it with y'all, because I know that y'all will continue to find me even the more relatable as time goes on. And I just thank y'all for tuning in with me, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in to Over It and On Air podcast. Again, I'm your host, Kate, and I can't wait to see you guys next year. Bye.